Hey everybody, Hot Hollow Point here, bringing you another cast for Supreme Commander 2020 mod. This game features myself, Hot Hollow Point, against Venium. Let's just get right into it. I am playing as the purple Siren player on the west side of the map. Venium is playing as the blue Aeon on the east side. Both of us opting for mass extractors first, get our economy rolling. Now, for those of you that aren't familiar with the mod, each faction's mass extractors have different bonuses attached to them now. As you can see, the Aeons is glowing. That is a heal bonus within the radius of the mass extractor. In addition, while you're playing as the faction, you can click on the mass extractor and use an overdrive ability to convert any excess energy you have into mass. The Cybern's mass extractors, on the other hand, have a small reclaim gun on them that will suck up any incoming enemy units automatically, as well as any wrecks that are in the area. Any mobile wrecks, that is. They can also be manually targeted to suck up your base wrecks if you'd like, but you get more bonus to rebuild on any base wrecks. So, Siren player here, myself, opting to go for 2 land factories immediately after mass extractors. Already has 1 engineer building, 2 engineers building. Meanwhile, Venium on the east side opted for research immediately after his mass extractors and has built a land factory immediately after that. And now a second land factory. So the Siren bots, which are unlocked by default, will be able to run up on Venium's base a little faster than he could get to mine. So we'll see how that comes into play, especially considering I believe I start early healing with one of my engineers on my ACU. Daon ACU does have a slightly higher regen rate, so at this point he's at 15,600. I'm still only at 14,300. Aeon player putting up his 3rd factory. That will leave him at an energy deficit. You can see he is building a lot of energy, but he will probably have to either leave his factories idle after building a few tanks, or have his ACU panic build some more energy to go with his factories. I've gone for a more balanced approach to my economy, building approximately 3 energy generators per factory in order to build bots. For tanks you need a little less, especially Aeon, because Aeon factories produce a little more energy than other factions. I believe Aeon factories produce 3 energy each per second, if I'm not mistaken, whereas other factions, the Siren faction, produces 1 energy, but then also 1/8 of a research station. And the UEF that you don't see playing in this match, they get extra mass from their factories. You can see we're coming up on the 420 mark. Already got 24 or so units ready to strike. My ACU is getting healed. He's at 24,000. Venium has not been healing his ACU, so he's still only at just slightly under 19k. And you can see both of us have set up our build orders, though I've sent 2 engineers out to claim mass extractors. And I think Venium, yes, looks like he's only got 1 sent out. This is a replay of a game that we played a few months ago, so I do not remember exactly what happens. Yes, you can tell Venium's engineer, or sorry, his economy is stalled because his ACU and engineers weren't building. Right now, because Venium's ACU is idle, he doesn't have the economy to build the factories he's waiting to. He should have his ACU instead going back and forth, assisting these 2 factories. Shift queue up a bunch of orders to go back and forth assisting. You increase the build speed of your factory so you could have probably about 20% more tanks at this point. Maybe only 10%, but you get the idea. More tanks, better. And you can see I did manage to take his top mechs, and I'm currently doing a run-by chasing down his engineer. He is now paying for the fact that he didn't heal his ACU because he won't be able to use it in battle to its full potential. He's only at about 2/3 health, roughly. A little higher than that. Though he is chasing me away because of his now health advantage. You can see in the background up here, I managed to chase down and assassinate his engineer. That's going to put his economy way behind. Engineers are quite expensive and take a long time to build in the mod. Both players choosing to retreat their ACUs. Hot Hollow Point with 13,000 health, Venium with 21,500 health, quickly approaching 22. Though I was going to say I was being healed by one of my engineers, but I decided, I guess, to further my retreat. See, right now I'm in a little bit of an awkward situation because while I've got a lot of mass extractors built, I'm somewhat behind on unit production. Even though we both have 3 factories, building bots isn't quite as efficient as building tanks is. For each factory, usually Cyberns need about not quite double the number of factories in order to keep up realistically. That is if you're just spamming bots. If you start building Brackman, you can get away with less factories because they're somewhat of a counter to tanks, to tank blobs, if not the basic counter. We've got another guard of bots bringing up the rear. You can see though that they're on this massive hill that puts them at quite a disadvantage. They can't fire until they get up and breach the top of the hill. Oh, I'm missing a battle here. Venium had a small guard of tanks approaching from the north. They're getting surrounded by superior numbers of bots before these tanks can even get a few kills. The entire squad is annihilated. It does look like Venium's starting to push up a little bit with his reserve units. He's also smartly holding a guard at the back, most likely anticipating that my bots would flank around. See, see what each player is doing for their micro here. Venium trying to back his tank blob off, and I am just chasing him. Oh, he accidentally set a guard order on his ACU. It's usually guard orders in this game don't usually work that well. The units that are guarding tend to lag behind instead of sort of surround. Anyways, now that he's got his ACU involved though, my bots are going to have to retreat or face annihilation. Now you can see, as I was saying before, I had the mass advantage and that's all I really had at the time. Well, now I have turned that mass into research, which I will most likely put into my bots, I would assume, at this point. Maybe my ACU. Well, I spammed another 4 factories, so I'm going to say I'm probably going to put that research into beefing up my land units at this point. Small little skirmish in the back here. Now, tanks do have a minimum fire distance. It is quite small, but if I were able to get my bots right in the center here, they'd actually be almost immune to his fire. Whereas bots do not have a minimum distance. One of the few subtle advantages. And that skirmish has ended. Venium now putting up his 6th factory. Still only running that 1 research station at this point though. Also down to his original 4 mexes plus 1 extra, whereas at this point I have building my 6th factory, have my original 4 mexes, an additional 4, 6, 8, 9 mass. So he is running 5 and I am running 13. However, Aeon does, if he has excess energy, does have a mass extractor overdrive, which can allow him to keep up. A little lull in the action at this point. Both players, I think, are afraid that their blobs are too small to actually go and attack the other player and have a successful attack. But as soon as I say that, I start pushing my bots forward. Venium now catching up on his factory numbers. As I mentioned before, the Cyberman usually does have to build more factories in order to just stay even. The caveat to that, though, is that that's if you're on equal footing for research. Now that I've taken a significant research lead, or semi-significant at least, he's only at 2 research stations to my 4. As well as the fact that my factories produce research. So my factories will be, if they are producing superior bots, at about even with what his factories are producing. And then it just comes down to the micro, where we put our research and how we micro. See, at this point with my assault bots, I know that I won't be able to break through all of his tanks, so my options are either to try to flank or just use my excuse me, use my resource advantage in order to stall him and continue to outpace him with research, and then eventually the next tier of units that will be able to destroy his land blob. Getting my 5th research right now. And since I have 7 factories, I think I'm only 1 factory away from having the equivalent of another research station, since Cybran factories do produce a small amount of research in the mod. See, Venium is definitely putting whatever research he does have into his tanks, into his land blob. They are upgraded with shields now. Venium building yet another factory. That is number 9 for him. I think if I were him at this point, he's already got the land numbers advantage and the production advantage. I would be leveraging research more. Okay, that's exactly what he's doing here. That's a good call on his part. At some point, every additional factory you build is only increasing your production by diminishing returns. So when you build your 2nd factory, you're doubling your build power. But when you build your 3rd factory, you're only increasing your build power at that point by like 50%. And then by the time you're building your 9th or 10th factory, you're only increasing your build power by about 10%. So it's smarter to put the resources into research at that point, if you can afford the time. Like if I'm not pressuring him, if I keep pressuring him, he'll probably have to build more land. But since I'm not pressuring him, he can have time to build research. And you just get more value from your mass at that point, because you're able to translate that research into like a 25% boost in your land production or more once you start adding upgrades to it. You're not necessarily boosting the speed or production of the factory itself, but you start producing better units. And here we go, we're gonna have a little encounter here. Now, if I was better at my micro, I'd have the other half, the back half of my bots here that aren't firing, stretched out along the front line here, so it's more of like a long rectangle instead of a square. That does require twice the micro to do, so I'm sure at this point I'm just frantically building other things, busy. See, yeah, I'm not really even microing my troops that often. My actions per second are only like 1 every 3 seconds at this point. Definitely winning this battle. It's unfair at this point. His tanks have shields. I'm almost defenseless. My bots have very limited upgrades at this point, if any upgrades at all. Miss micro on his part to have his troops sort of collect like that. There is a difference if you hold control while you're giving your orders. Your units will either go in formation or not, and it looks like he's giving non-formation units just by how tightly they're bunched up. And right now I would opt for formation units. Keep your tanks spread out because of these Brackmen, the insane amount of damage that they do if they do happen to hit your units when they're grouped up. Now, good mix of units on my part here. He's just attacking me with straight tanks. If I have both Brackmen and bots, you'll see these Brackman shells will land and do area damage, which is great, but occasionally they'll also stun. And that just causes a little stutter in their movement and their firing pattern, which is often enough to allow the bots to get into position and finish them off. If any of them here being very aggressive. My base is sort of at stake at this point. I think I'm just getting overrun. I wonder if I've got anything on the flanks at this point. Nope, all my troops are here, and I'm still losing. See, this is what happens with the Cybern. They are definitely a little bit weaker with the direct confrontations. Now, luckily, I am ahead on mass, so I have been able to upgrade my factories with shields and reclaimer defenses. You can see the aforementioned mass extractors doing their job, sucking up tanks as they come into range. Venium just rushing his blob towards me. I'll check here and see, do I have any point defense? Oh, I'm building a point defense at the moment. So 80% finished. Might be a little too late though. Nope, gets it up. We'll see though, actually it might be too late. If it had been shooting the whole time, I think it would have been lights out for his blob, but oh no, it's pecking away there. I am losing. I did lose a mass extractor, a couple of energy generators, I believe. The shields on my factories are starting to go down. The shields that are on the power generators are mostly down, so I do have to watch for a chain reaction if they happen to explode. But luckily they appear to be, their shields are popping back up occasionally, offering some defense while the reclaim beams from the factories do their thing. Oh, there was a small chain reaction. Another one. Cybern energy generators, because they have a built-in mass converter at the start of the game, are volatile upon explosion because of the mass conversion. I did mention that Cybern's not really good at direct confrontation. One thing that they are good at is being down but not out. Like I had mentioned, their energy generators have mass conversion on them, so you can often just spam energy and not have to even leave your base. While the enemy's just trying to peck away at you, your economy can still actually grow in your main base without having to spend extra research to do so. See here, my commander's actually in a little bit of a vulnerable spot because he's chosen to build a point defense. Point defense is going up rather quickly. The 1 point defense back here, ooh, she's doing work for me. Not quite quick enough work though, to be honest. Oh, this forward point defense is up now. ACU joining the battle, pecking away. Oh, what order am I giving my ACU? Oh, okay. Rebuild some factories. I guess that's okay, but he's losing health quickly. I gotta be very careful here. Oh no, this is looking horrible. Okay, I've got the engineer finishing. I'm hanging out under my one shield that just went down. Engineer finishing that shield, or that factory. Oh dear. This might be the end of the game. Brackman getting a couple lucky stuns there for me, so you can't chase. Oh my god, I'm down to less than 400 health. Oh, do I make it out? What? I don't remember this from when I played this game against him. So a long time ago, that was actually pretty exciting. Oh, just barely make it out. Luckily now I'm hiding under another shield. I desperately need my engineer to come and heal me. Though I do have the power shunt, so I may have the healing shunts as well that I added to the mod. When you're not using your main weapon, you heal faster. So yeah, that's actually, I'm healing pretty fast. Doesn't look like it percentage-wise, like my bar is not going up, but that's only because I have 52,000 health. I'm trying to get another point defense. At this point, Venium is sort of just, I mean, no offense to him in this, but he's just a one-trick pony, just spamming land, researched land. And honestly, just point defense, base defenses are the defense against that. If he expects to crack this base now with these point defenses here, he is going to have to upgrade to Urchin House, or at least sniper bots. I don't think I'll make any headway pushing out against him, but I don't think he'll be able to push me. You can see these forces getting sucked up as they die. I love that about Siren, just back into it. You're getting recycled, your mass is going into a new bot. Now, in the time I focused on that main fight, I've built 2 expansion bases, one on each north and south flank. That might be a mistake though. Maybe I should have just used the resources from those bases and expanded my main base, because my main base is getting pushed in right now. Lost 3 research stations and a mass extractor. That is pretty heavy. And I sort of wish that I had put shields and recycle guns on these factories. They'd be sort of somewhat pecking away at not letting this land blob push in as easily. I do have shields on my own bots now, so these tanks, I'm starting to even myself up with them a little bit. Zoom out here and see what's going on with the flanks. Oh, this is going to be bad news for Venium. If it even matters, he is pushing my base. Hopefully those point defense I built start pulling through. They are firing. I really need one on the southern flank here though. This is my vulnerable area. I keep sending units there, but it's almost fruitless. These tanks are quite well upgraded and hardened. I'm starting to make a little bit of headway down there though. As I say that, my 4th factory explodes. At least I'm cutting off his pressure on top. At least I'm doing something. Let's check on that flank that I had brewing. As you can see, I'm just being just getting my bots right in his face, because like I said, the tanks do have a minimum firing arc, so you can get in close and at least a few of them would be able to shoot at you. Here we go on his tapping on his back door here. Some of these bots were built so long ago that they don't have shields on them. Now, I don't know why I'm choosing to go up the hill here. I gotta flank around. Let's see what's happening at the front line again. He's still got a small group of units harassing my southern front. Northern part definitely getting hammered as well. Though it looks like I built another point defense. Oh, another couple point defense on the north side. Oh, the nanobot upgrade. This ACU is going to start ripping through these groups of tanks now with that. You can see it's increases his range, gives it damage over time, and extra large splash damage as well. Yes, you can see I did opt to bring my bot army back. Looks like we had a small skirmish here. These are dead bots by the look of it. So I decided to retreat. In return, I took out 3 more of his mass extractors. Also looks like I'm bringing in a second group to flank from the back. Also a troop of engineers out already rebuilding most of what I had previously lost. Giant blob of both tanks and bots coming in for Venium. Now, personally, I like to split my tanks and bots. He's got his grouped up into one group. I find that if you put your tanks on the main front and then have your bots sort of come in along the sides, you end up getting more DPS just because, like, look how his bots are, like, none of this group is firing. It's a general rule of thumb that you should try to, instead of have a giant square, have, you know, a long rectangle. And it's easier to do that if you bring your bots out of that group to sort of flank, since they move faster. Oh, that nanobot gun just doing work from the ACU. Though I am retreating for some reason, even though I've got almost 60,000 health. Oh, I've also got the upgrade that veteranizes my nearby units. You'll see they occasionally glow. That means they're getting extra free veteran ranking. I want to group in on that front fight, but there's another 2 more fights going on at the back as well. Venium here, yeah, smart move. Splitting off mostly bots to come and protect his flanks, since they're the fast-moving ones. Though he should have some tanks positioned at the top of this hill, so that as my bots crest it, they're getting sniped. I think that's going to happen anyways. Yeah, by the looks of it. It's okay though, I've mostly suppressed him on the front. I've got him down to his 6 basic mexes, mass extractors. Meanwhile, I'm at like, plus 14 by now, I think. You can see I've also upgraded my engineers to have guns. So I will be able to start pushing very soon with that. He's got an enormous land blob at the back of his base right now. It's really unfortunate for him that he couldn't have them on the front lines helping out, or else he might actually be winning this battle on the front. He should pull this group back, in my opinion, and then group up with this so that he can have 2 forces pushing simultaneously. Though, I mean, his time is also... Oh, I was about to say his time is limited because he's falling so far behind on mass, but if he happens to get up a couple Urchinows, he could change the tides back in his favor. Like, he does have quite a bit of research going too, and more production than I do. The only thing he's behind on, I think, is really his mass. The engineers marching along, sucking up mass as they go. Land force is upgraded with explodey upon death as well. I can't even think of the real name for that at the moment. Unit detonate? I think that's it. Unit detonate. Cyber units upgraded with unit detonate automatically detonate upon death in the mod. However, they only do half of their potential damage if they auto-detonate. If you manually detonate them, then they do twice the amount of damage. Now, I don't think he's going to be able to hold me off with this large group of engineers now doing splash damage. Though, as I say that, he's pushing in. He started pecking away at my forces. Now, if I were him trying to micro this, I would, number one, not be rushing me because I have unit detonate. He's just essentially suiciding any forces that get within range of that. But I would also, once again, have tanks going at the main group, right in, and have bots flank around on the sides. He has appeared to build some sniper bots. He needs to keep those towards the back of his base. Not the back of his base, the back of his unit groupings. So they can just sit there and pepper me from a long distance. And meanwhile, his tanks and bada booms should be the ones that are at the front lines. First Urchinow just coming out of the gantry. I don't think that's half-baked. Nope, that is fully finished. I think it'll be slightly too late, though. This land force that I'm sending in with, you know, ordering on probably 30 engineers here. It's just going to be too much for him to handle, in my estimation. Though, the Aeon forces do have very competent base defenses, at least against this tier of units. Once you get to the third tier, these big units, things change a little bit, but I'm actually rather surprised. Oh, there goes a research station portal sucking up a bunch of my units. But I don't think that's going to be enough. I think this is going to push through and take out most of his base. That Urchinow is down. My engineers reclaiming the gantry. Final attack on the ACU, and I think this will be a game over. I hunkered all my bots at the last second. Anyways, that was an interesting game. I'd like to thank Venium for playing that against me. I'd like to thank you guys for sticking it out this long. If you made it this far, might as well like, subscribe, do all that stuff. And I guess I will see you guys next time. Have a good one. Bye for now.